Hi, this is James Gordon-Torley here for Book Review. Today's book I'm reviewing today, The Last Kamikaze by M.E. Morris. This is from Random House, and this was published in 1990. This was a decent thriller. Like, it had some things I enjoyed with it. I do like the idea about a Japanese World War II fighter pilot that wants to carry out a final attack against his enemy in a stolen Zero fighter plane. I really like that. However, there were some things with this novel I didn't like, and while it gets off to a strong start, but the finale I felt was a really huge letdown, and a few other things I didn't like this novel. This wasn't like a bad book. It had definitely had some parts I definitely liked. This book has some really shocking destruction scenes that I was really impressed with, and there's a lot of intense action moments in this novel. But I just felt the finale could have been so much better. It is while it's it has some other pros. It has some excellent detail with great scenery within the novel, and that's another highlight I enjoyed with this book. But yeah, this could have been a lot better. Well, as they say, we can't like everything. Alright, on to the book review. Plot. In June of 1944, Japanese ace fighter pilot Saburo Genda survives a battle against a Hellcat after being wounded in the leg, forcing him to crash land his Mitsubishi A6M0 on an island. He tries to climb out but passes out from the pain. Saburo is later rescued. 1 year later, Saburo has recovered from his injuries and walks with a prosthetic leg and a cane. He, along with several other fighter pilots, have been chosen to carry out a kamikaze attack against the American forces. Saburo is given his last meal and spends some time with a beautiful woman, having sex with her before getting ready to serve his nation. But just as he climbs inside his Zero fighter, he is ordered to kill his engine at once. Outraged, he tries to fly off, but the aircraft carrier crew blocks him, forcing Saburo to shut off his engine as he and the other pilots and crew members hear the radio broadcast that Japan has surrendered to the Americans. Saburo is furious as he lost his parents in the atomic bombing of Nagasaki. Angered by this day, he swears revenge. 1991, Saburo is meditating in his cottage in Nipton. He lives close by to the sea as he enjoys feeling the breeze of the wind along with hearing the sounds of the waves and seagulls, with a cherry tree shedding its leaves as winter is coming with summer over. For 46 years, Saburo is still bitter about Japan losing to the Americans and seeing the Western influence it has brought to his country. His wife has tried to get Saburo to change his ways and views, but refused to abandon his honor for the Imperial Army he served for, as nothing will ever bring back his parents, and refuses to return to his homeland, Nagasaki, as the effects of the atomic bombing and the destruction has haunted him. Then his wife was beaten and raped by 2 American soldiers as they fled back to their country before they could be charged, and his wife killed herself, feeling ashamed of being raped, angering Saburo even more. Unable to meditate, he thinks about ending his life but wants to fulfill his destiny and get his revenge. After drinking a hot tea, he calls his friend in Yorvaro. Saburo travels to Akunzo and meets with his friend at Peace Park. Saburo reveals he is dying and wishes to carry out his act of revenge against his enemy, America. His friend tries to reason with him, but Saburo refuses and will offer him a lot of money to help out his friend's last request. He gives Saburo the name Toshiya Goto, a Japanese Red Army member. The next day, Saburo gets a call that Toshiya is waiting for him at Takahara Hot Springs, north of Tokyo. Upon arriving at the hot springs, he meets Toshiya, who is interested in aiding Saburo as he too wants to attack the United States, but he will only agree to help Saburo's plan as long as they attack American citizens, not Japanese. Both men agree. Meanwhile, Washington, D.C., George Jokisakai, a Japanese-American ex-soldier for the Vietnam War, is now working his 3rd year in the State Department's Special Operations. While in the meeting with U.S. President Dave Donaldson on Japanese import taxes, along with allowing their military to expand, as the president feels there is no need to enforce it, as he would like to keep relations with Japan good. Suddenly, the meeting is called off when one of the president's staff members tells everyone there's been a terrorist attack on the U.S. embassy in Japan when a car smashed through the gate and exploded inside the front entrance, killing several people. The president wants to know who's behind this attack, and Sakai is sent to investigate alongside his loudmouth American friend Charlie Porter. Working along with the Tokyo police, they discovered the identity of the suicide bomber, Yusuda, a part-time student who was struggling with poor grades yet had strong left-wing views. Both Sakai and Porter investigate his room while speaking with a female student who studied with Yasakai. Going over his books, they find a notebook with a few names written on it, including members of JRA along with Saburo. Both Sakai and Porter go looking for these members. At the same time, Saburo dislikes the terrorist members of JRA, but they are the only ones who can help him carry out his plan. While discussing different methods of attacking Americans, such as shooting down U.S. military planes, Sakura adds his comments, but one member of JRA thinks Sakura is too old to join them and calls him out, which Sakura displays his martial arts skills on this terrorist member and threatens to kill him the next time he angers him. Sakura earns his respect within the group. Later on, the two members of JRA, Oyuro and Teiko, go out in a boat to retrieve smuggled weapons they plan on using for future terrorist attacks when they see a plane flying by. They go to the local airport and see it's a restored Zero fighter plane. The two men talk with the crew restoring it as it was discovered on an island back in 1989. When the two brothers tell Subaru about seeing a Zero fighter plane, he feels happy and remembers his combat days during World War II. However, he is later angered to learn that an American team was the one who found it and restored it. They tell Subaru they plan to fly it over to Pearl Harbor, Hawaii for Memorial Day. Sakai and Porter follow a trail of the terrorist members with a lead on the girlfriend of Teiko after a failed plot of shooting down a C-5 Galaxy as she was abandoned when the getaway car crashed close by to the airport. With no evidence to charge her, Sakai and Porter plan to let her go and use her to lead them to the other JRA members. Their plan works as the terrorist members are at a restaurant. However, Subaru spots the surveillance team watching them and warns the others. They split in different vehicles, allowing the members to escape, with one of them killing a detective. Despite being wanted men within Japan, both Teiko and Oriro plan to carry out another terrorist attack by shooting down an American airliner against the orders of their leader. This time they succeed of bringing down a Boeing 747, killing all of its passengers and crew. Disgusted with the actions of JRA along with being used, but knows the only way he can fulfill his revenge is with their help. Sakura, reaching the crash, is shocked, sad, and angered with the terrorist group and swears to bring them down. But Sakura won't allow anyone to stand in his way and will do anything to complete his mission on striking the enemy of his country and to avenge the death of his parents and wife. He plans to steal the Zero and fly it to Pearl Harbor and kill President Donaldson. Can Sakurai stop Subaru, or is it too late? The Last Kamikaze was a decent thriller. While I enjoyed the short yet intense moments of action, shootouts, destruction, and a car chase, along with the many scenes featured great detail of locations in Japan and Hawaii, and scenes of planes flying by tropical areas. The pacing was good as it never slowed down or dragged on any scenes. The cast of characters were a mixed bag of either alright or not likable, but I felt Sabura was crafted better than some of the other characters. Sakurai was an alright main character while he was determined to capture Saburo along with the other terrorist members, but felt a little flat in places and could have been fleshed out into a better character. Didn't like Porter as he was a loudmouth and could be a bit racist at times. However, he proves his usefulness with Sakurai. Didn't like the scenes of melodrama between Sakurai and his ex-wife, but towards the end of the novel she begins to warm up and become less annoying. While the writing structure was alright, but a few times I read some strange and cringy dialogue which I felt the author could have done better. While the first act of the novel gets off to a strong start with the second act getting better, but the final act was a huge letdown. I was thinking this novel would end in a shocking way, only to be disappointed by the cliche ending. While some might like this novel more than I did, however, I felt it could have been a lot better. Overall, it's up to you if you want to read this early 90s thriller. If you're expecting a dark ending, don't, as it won't end the way you want it to, but if you enjoy fast-paced action, shocking destruction, along with World War II airplanes, then you might enjoy this novel. Alright, that's our review today. Sorry this took a little longer than expected. This whole month has been crazy. I've been trying to get this book read, and things just keep coming up, and it keeps distracting me from doing what I want to do, so that's why this review took a little longer than it should have been, but I have already got the next book I'm going to be reading picked out, and I'll be reading that right away, along with another book before I get back to the Jack Ryan and John Clark series. Just want to take a little break from that series, just, read other books on the channel. But The Last Kamikaze was a decent throw. Like, it had some things I like with it and some things I didn't like. I felt the pacing was good. Like, it never gets slow or dull at any point in the novel. It moves very fast, like a little, like the pacing is a bit fast, but the story, it never slows down any parts, and that I liked. It featured many great locations within both Japan, Hawaii, along with some tropical islands that are featured in this story. The action is really good in the book. Like, there's a lot of short, intense moments of like action, shootouts, a car chase, and the destruction of the shoot down of the Boeing 717 was absolutely both amazing and shocking at the same time. And this scene, like, it holds nothing back. It shows the destruction of this plane being shot down and it crashing, and then the remains, of course, with the main character reaching the crash site, and just seeing the destruction that has happened, along with the wreckage and dead bodies and stuff, which was a really shocking scene. As I said, the characters were kind of like a mixed bag. Like, there were some decent characters, and other characters I liked more than the rest, and others I did not like at all. I felt Sabura was crafted a lot better than the other characters. Like, he was a well-layered character who had a purpose of what he was trying to do, and unlike the terrorist members that he ends up working with, his views are completely different, and he dislikes their actions. So he's against what they're doing, but they're the only ones that can help him achieve his mission, which he makes them do towards the end of the book. Sakurai was an okay character. I felt he could have been, like, crafted a lot better in the book. Like, he's determined to complete his mission, but I just felt he could have been a lot better. And of course, there's the characters I didn't like. Porter was one of them. This character I felt that was very just rude, a loudmouth, and, as I said, a bit racist at times. I felt there's no way a character like him would ever work with the Japanese department, the way he acted and stuff, and the things he said. I just felt, no, there's no way that a character like him would be working with the Japanese department. And I also disliked Sakura's ex-wife. She was just annoying at the start of the book. She just wants her husband. She feels her husband is working too much. It doesn't spend enough time with family, and there was some melodrama in the book that I didn't like. But towards the end of the book, she begins to kind of warm up, become a bit more likable. So I thought, okay, that's at least better. Yeah, as I said, I felt the first and second act of the book, it get off to a really good start, and then later on the book progresses. It gets better, but the ending was a huge letdown. I was expecting like a shocking, dark ending, and I didn't get that, and it just kind of ends in a cliche way. And like, really, like, you had such a good strong start to this book. You could have ended with a really dark, shocking ending that would have made this book a lot better. Oh yeah, and there's some really just cringy dialogue in this book. Like, there's a part where a character says he would rather drink pig piss, and I was like, what? And then there was a couple other scenes that I read. I was like, well, what the hell are these characters thinking? It was just, I just wish the author didn't add this cringy dialogue. Could have like improved on that. And as I said, had this novel ended the way I wanted to, I would have liked it a lot better. But overall, it was decent. It was it was better than some other books I read, but as they say, we can't like everything. Alright, that's for the review today. I hope you enjoyed it, and please don't forget to like this video and subscribe to October Library, the YouTube channel, where I post book reviews, book hauls, and unofficial content. Until then, I'll catch you later.